I love to cook at home. Having good kitchenware makes all the difference in the world. Not only does good equipment make prep and cooking easier, but it makes it more enjoyable. That's why I'm a huge fan of Made In Cookware. Their wide range of products are designed to be professional quality, but for you right in your home. I have over a dozen pieces from Made In, including pots, pans, a pizza steel, knives, and even beer glasses. Yeah, they have glassware too. They have it all. Take your home cooking to the next level by upgrading your cookware by going to unitedwedrink.com/madein. Find out why pros like Sean Brock, Nancy Silverton, and Eric Repair trust Made In. Go to unitedwedrink.com/madein, that's MADEIN, and upgrade your kitchen and cooking today.
Happy hour, more like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of the United We Drink podcast right here on unitedwedrink.com, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are found. My name is Mike Urevich. With me, as always, Tim Johnson, Kevin Abbott. How we doing, guys?
I'm
good. First. Who's gonna break first?
I'm doing well. I'm a little tired, but in a very good giddy mood. So
that giddy's fun. I can go for some giddy. I'm doing just lovely. I am both excited and apprehensive about the summer ending and going back to a normal school schedule with the boy, and what that's going to entail with going back to school and stuff. So I don't know. It's I'm going to enjoy this last week and a half or so before things start to get wild again.
Yeah, our boys start VPK this coming year, and so they're going to be going to a real school. No more daycare. They're wrapping up daycare in a couple days. Then we're going on vacation for a week, and they get to come right back and go to school. So, yeah, I'm excited, but also I'm scared. We still don't know if they are going to have aftercare for them. VPK requires at least half of the class want to do aftercare in order to offer it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So it's not until kindergarten that the school will offer, they can do daycare or aftercare no matter what. So we're still waiting to find out if there's enough parents that want. The thing is, we need 6. We at least got 2 already. So we're
6 out of how many?
Way there.
6 out of
12.
how many?
12.
Wow, that's I don't know, man. You might have to figure out some way to manipulate the system a little bit.
Somehow make our votes count 3 times.
I was just thinking. I mean, so how do you make sure that parents have to you have to find parents jobs? Or maybe get them fired from got jobs with good hours, and then they have to take on jobs with more erratic hours. Let me ask ChatGPT. Let me find
all the parents to get promotions.
I'll get back to you. I'll see if I can help you out on this one.
Okay. Thank the machine for me while you're at it.
I just like that you call it aftercare, because that sounds like a term usually reserved for like post-traumatic like service, or like a something a nurse would administer after a hard surgery or whatever.
What do they call it? I
think they call it kid jail. Is that what they call it up there, Tim?
Yeah.
Kid jail?
No, I mean it's more like an after school program or things like that. We wouldn't just say aftercare. That might be a regional thing.
Maybe because VPK isn't technically school. I don't know.
I don't even know what VPK stands for, so that's fine.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah, I mean,
It's right.
it checks out if you don't think about it.
Voluntary pre-kindergarten.
Oh. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't have that when it was just pre-K when
Sure.
I was a kid, and then kindergarten. But they wanted to make it voluntary, which it kind of was, I guess, already back
Yeah, I mean,
then.
it implies the existence of involuntary, like forced servitude.
The next county over, it's all involuntary. You're going whether you like it or not.
Nice. I like it.
So, what are you drinking tonight, Kevin?
So I am starting out with a Cosmic Lighthouse, which is our double IPA. This is the second time we've brewed it. We meaning Ralph, because I don't do any actual work. But it's really good. It's kind of a tropical. I mean, it's not like a straight hazy. It's definitely not clear as a bell here, but it's not a traditional hazy. It seems like that's a pretty weird word or phrase to use, but it's really, really good. I really loved this beer the first time he made it, and I realize sometimes that I don't give Ralph direct responses when I try the beers. I just expect him, I guess, at this point, just to listen to the podcast and get praise. So, which is probably a character defect of my own. But Ralph, if you are still listening to the show, this beer is really, really good. You did a great job.
Ralph goes to Kevin, so what do you think? And Kevin's like, tune in next Thursday and find out.
It's the only way I can guarantee listens.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Or you just say, I guess somebody hasn't been listening to the pod.
Tim, what are you having?
I am drinking a Summit Extra Pale Ale. Just a Minnesota standby. I went and picked up a 4-pack of these guys. It's been a hot minute since I've had this beer. I don't know. It's classic kind of malty amber caramel colored pale ale. But I'm enjoying it.
Nice. Was it always that color, or is that like a new? For some reason, I feel like when they were here, I remember it being like a more like white color. Or am I thinking of a different brand from them?
No, I think you just might be color blind.
I just see all white. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. No. It's always
Like my white
this.
hat right here.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's always kind of like this is as far as I can ever remember it for 20 whatever years that I've been drinking it. So yeah.
Okay, I'm just dumb. So I'm having a little Kirkland lager from Deschutes and Costco. You may have seen a video on our thing, the place, the gram. There it is, about this, and we'll be talking a little more about this in a bit. But goddamn, this is such a good beer. Just light, crisp, easy drinking. I'm gonna be sad when I can't just buy a 12-pack for $14 at Costco of this.
If you have not checked out the Instagram, please go and check out United We Drink Instagram account. It is maybe one of the funniest pieces of content we've ever put out, and I say that.
Is that called damn? Is that damning with faint praise?
Well, I'm saying I say that full throated because I had absolutely nothing to do with it, so I can go ahead and say it's the funniest thing that we've ever put out, and still take credit without ever having actually done anything.
We also had a very low bar to get over in regards to funniest content we've ever put out. So
it's funny that you were mentioning the social media content, because I just remembered that Mike put up the first Old Favorite Friday like preview video last Friday for United We Drink, and I never looked at it because I don't like do stuff. And you reminded me while you guys were talking about the beers, so I was watching that for the last 90 seconds while you guys were talking and I was pretending to listen to you. And I wanted to see the little comments Mike put on the screen. You did a good job, Mike. There definitely is some Kevin fatigue out there, and I'm hoping that I'm hoping that it gets fought actively with you guys lending your voice to Old Favorite Friday.
Yeah, no, I thought that one was fantastic too.
When this comes out, the first actual one will have already dropped, which is you talking about Summerfest, and so that will be in the can. Go check out our Instagram. We have it on our YouTube channel as well. So if you like to watch over there, it's a YouTube Shorts. We are going to have all the Old Favorite Friday videos available over there. If you have no idea what we're talking about, because you don't follow us on social media, you know that thing that Kevin used to do for Barrel Monks, and he used to talk about it all the time on this show?
And try to get you guys to go watch them, and obviously you didn't. That's why I had to end the series. Yes, go ahead.
So we're doing it now.
It was so popular.
So now you still don't have to go watch it, but you might be more inclined to because you already kind of follow us. So
right.
There's one less degree of separation, I guess, in your ability to watch it.
And also, Tim and Mike are more palatable than I am. So you know, every third week, you guys can continue to skip mine and just listen to what Tim and Mike have to say.
Well, I put in my contract that mine are to be exclusively put on Vine, which I know is not a thing anymore, but I want to make sure I'm trying to bring it back. So Vine and maybe Vimeo. I think those are the ways that you're going to be able to watch mine.
Is Vimeo still a thing?
Yeah, I think so. I assume. I don't know. I was not a big Vimeo consumer by any means.
Okay.
I only watch VHS tapes, so I will put together a VHS collection that you can send checker money order to PO Box 555. No, I would assume it is. I have no idea.
Speaking of old VHS tapes, someone that I follow.
You've got something locked. Wait. You've got something locked and loaded for old VHS tapes. You are prepared.
Just because this is something that recently happened. Is someone who I follow on Instagram posted in their stories that they were at some flea market and bought some old VHS tapes, and they had them out. And one of them is a movie that I remember watching a ton as a kid, and that's Spaced Invaders. I don't know if it is a campy, weird movie of aliens that are just really bad, masks, they're rubber masks that come to Earth and they crash land and they're trying to get back home. One of them talks like Elvis, one of them talks like Jack Nicholson. It is just really campy, really bad. And I just replied, I'm like, I loved that movie as a kid. He's like, I've never heard of this. I just bought it based off of the cover alone. I am surprised that you guys, having grown up in the 80s and 90s, have never heard of this.
Well, we're both looking this up.
Now. The first response, the first hit I got when I Googled this was what I'm assuming is the Spanish cover of Invasores do Espacio, which I just love. And I'm sorry about that accent and that pronunciation because I know it's wrong. But this looks vaguely familiar to me as something I would have seen on a Blockbuster shelf and never gotten it. But it's like a bunch of aliens riding a rocket down to Earth.
Yeah.
Like a bomb, it looks like. Yeah, that looks wild. Is this like an MST3K worthy movie, Mike?
Probably, yeah. I would say so.
Yeah, this is not ringing any bells for me whatsoever. I am seeing the one that Kevin pointed out, but not. I'm also seeing another one that has more of a almost mid-century type of painting style to it as well. But I guess that's for the exclusive Blu-ray edition that was put out. Special edition Blu-ray. I'm not even kidding. There was a
I
special
see that.
edition
Yeah.
Blu-ray.
Uh,
It's funny that you say VHS because someone wanted to watch a movie. Asked me if I had seen a movie, and I said no, I hadn't. And they said, "Well, I have it on DVD. I'll bring it over." And then I went, "I don't even have a DVD player right now. Like this is not 2008 anymore." Old
I
person. So
realized that myself last week. Like, not only do I not have a DVD player, but like my Xbox is the discless one, and my computer has no disk drive on it either. So like, I have some DVDs with absolutely no way of watching them.
I just have an old reel-to-reel projector, which
Now-
Betamax.
Now, I have a DVD player, but I don't have a remote control for it. So it makes it much more difficult to navigate. I watch a lot of like the Christmas. I had all the famous Christmas special DVDs that we would watch every single Christmas, Rudolph and Frosty and this, that, and the other. And so I'm able to navigate with the buttons on the thing, but it's kind of complicated when it happens. So I guess I'm the only DVD still person in this on this podcast, which that's appropriate. I'm a very old person and I refuse to get rid of anything. But I know you want more content, Mike. Maybe we do a watch party with this Spaced Invaders, and that's another little interactive thing we can do with the 7 people who listen.
We could. I don't know how we do that and not get sued.
I don't think anybody involved in the production of that has any. They would be grateful for the fact that we're actually pumping that whatsoever. I think instead of a cease and desist, like what the opposite is, continue and encourage. I think is what
They're just
what that would be.
I think the alternate there, Tim, is that the directors and producers are scouring craft beer podcasts, looking for the one group that finally hits on this idea of watching this DVD or VHS or whatever as a watch party, and they're like, "Ha, got him! Finally!"
I'm sure there's a Google alert for this. Although for them, it's probably an Ask Jeeves alert. But I'm sure there's an alert for any time this gets mentioned on the internet.
So the director of this film also did a couple movies that like Baby's Day Out. You know, the acclaimed 1994.
I do remember Baby's Day Out. Yeah.
He also did Angus, which I did really like.
Huh.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah, look at that.
Like Angus was a good flick with a great soundtrack. By the way,
Dragonheart as well. All right. Okay. I don't recognize any of the actors, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know any of the actors.
One's from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You'd think I would have known that little bit of trivia, but apparently not.
All right, so let's get into the main topic. We just wanted to go over some news items because it's been a little while since we've talked news stuff, and stuff has happened. And why don't we start off with the thing that I've alluded to, and we've had videos on
the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, I mean
that's
gas
what I
prices,
thought you were talking
about. Yeah, the inability to ship Kirkland lager through the Strait of Hormuz, but that's because it's being discontinued. So Deschutes and Costco are ending a 2-year relationship, and this beer will no longer be available in Costco stores. They say by the end of the year it'll be phased out. Like I've said before that my store seemed to always have a problem with keeping it in stock. So like I feel like certain stores will be out now if they haven't already. So like if you like this beer, go to your local Costco, pick some up before it's all out. But pretty shocking when you consider like it seemed like this was a pretty well received beer. It sold well. Like Tim, are you a Costco shopper? And
I'm not a Costco shopper. I find that for 1.5 people, a household of 1.5 people, buying in bulk does not make a ton of sense. But I have had friends that are Costco shoppers, and so I am familiar with it. I've had it plenty of times. And to me, the kind of the bigger thing is not just that they had done Costco, this Kirkland Lager one off, but that they also had specialty.
Yeah, they had the
Along,
vintage ale.
Yeah.
right, and I think that to me is almost kind of the bigger shocker because they cared enough to invest in that relationship that it wasn't just making a light beer, rebranded type of thing that they actually, you know, uh, didn't really hide who was making it and what the relationship was, and had some other things as a more kind of one-off or specialty as well.
Mike, in what you've read about this, does it describe what happened? Like why the breakdown of this relationship?
No, there's no official word on what the reason for this was. There's a lot of speculation, obviously, out there. Things ranging from like I mentioned my store having a hard time seemingly keeping it in stock. Supply chain issues were up there. One that I think is probably the closest to the reality is it seems like Costco may have wanted steeper discounts from the shoots, and they were probably already uh,
Cutting it to the bone, I would
yeah,
imagine.
yeah, or maybe even losing on this product in order to get just bulk out there and maybe hope that it enough volume of it will do them wonders. But like that's a thing I've heard about Costco in the past is like building an initial relationship might be easy, but maintaining that relationship can be super hard because once they start seeing a product moving well, they want more incentive to keep it on in stock. And so a bigger discount on an already cheap beer, like yeah, I don't see how Deschutes or really anyone other than possibly
The macro boys.
maybe
Yeah.
yeah could do something like that. I don't even see Sierra, like Deschutes is a top 5 brewery for a craft, so like if they can't do it, I don't see really who can.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the speculation I've seen online just sort of makes it seem like this was like a Costco driven decision, but to me, it seems like kind of along the lines of what you're saying. This might really be a mutual parting of ways, where Costco wants more, but Deschutes is just saying we can't do that. They might be saying it is not advantageous for us to be in this relationship rather than, like if you look at like Beer
Yeah,
Advocate, everyone's just writing it as, oh, Costco dumped Deschutes. I don't know that the answer is as simple as Costco just wanted to end the relationship with Deschutes so much as Deschutes said, maybe this doesn't make sense for us anymore.
yeah, it could be, yeah, that they wanted a discount and they wanted more product, and Deschutes was like, we can't supply that much product, and we're definitely not gonna be able to discount it that much. So it's yeah, or it's somewhere in the middle, and that's
Yeah.
usually where things like that happen or land.
So there's a lot of interesting implications here, both for this direct relationship and also for like the broader craft beer category. And I'll talk about one of our experiences. So we've in the past we've engaged with some very large chains for us. Now, not Costco, right? We're so small we would never be involved in anything like that. But for our level, we've engaged with some conversations with some very large chains. And when we were talking about volumes, they gave us volume numbers back that were beyond our wildest dreams as far as production goes. I mean,
Mhm.
changing the entire dynamic of the brewery volumes. And you look at that on paper and you go, wow, we got to do this. And then you look at all the implications around that and go, can we and should we?
Mhm.
And I think this is one of those kind of deals, 2 or 3 steps up the ladder, maybe 10 steps up the ladder in craft beer for Deschutes, where, maybe their eyes got a little bit too big for their stomachs, right? Like they said, yes, we want to do this because we would be silly not to. But then when everything came to pass, they weren't able to keep it up with the volume, or I'm sure a very professional brewery with tons of people on staff that know how to make money on a brand would have done the projections out, but maybe they weren't making as much as they thought they would for whatever reason. There's many ways that could kind of flesh out. And, they decided that it was not for their best interest to continue or to go with a deeper discount or whatever else they might have been able to do. There's so many ways that this game-changing relationship that every single brewery would love to be in on, but realizes like it's really not all it's cracked up to be for that.
Yeah, and like I can tell you from the coffee standpoint as well, some stores might do really well, right? So, Mike, you're hearing about stores that locally that can't keep it in stock, but that's anecdotal and doesn't speak to the national performance of this. It could just be underperforming.
Yeah.
To expectations. Because Costco is very quick to pull the plug on something that is not performing based to their own expectations. I can tell you that they will give things a limited life, and if it's not performing where they expect it to. So we don't know that either, right? Again, everyone who talks about it is up in arms about it because they were a consumer, but like everything else in the craft beer echo chamber, everyone thinks their experience is the reality of the broader base, and that might not be the case.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember at our previous brewery, Kevin, we got into 2 Costco's before, and that was like, it was even at that time difficult because those were 100 case pallets that needed to go to each store, 200 cases, and then one sold pretty well, the other didn't. The one didn't reorder, the other reordered once, and then it didn't sell very well, and then they never reordered again.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Tim, Costco is really quick to pull the plug on something that they don't think is moving. Like,
well, one of the things that then speaking to my second point is the implications for craft beer. And I know we are so often like doom and gloom and talking about the negatives of the industry and how we, it's almost like we're the, we're always the woe is me alcohol brand, or not brand, but segment of the market, I should say. But
it would be great if there was an alcohol brand that was a very woe is me. like they're like, man, shit sucks. Come buy our stuff.
remember OK Cola? It was like the depressed cola. Like they were just like Gen Z, like or Gen X. I'm sorry. It's like kind of like, oh, it's just fine. I think that's the craft beer industry. No, so I am a Costco shopper, and I am a purchaser of Costco, the Kirkland brand bourbon, and their tequilas, Reposado and Añejo. I tend to pick those brands up. I pick up Prosecco constantly at Costco. I pick up their Pinot Grigio. I pick up their Cabernet. I pick up a lot of Kirkland brands. And I don't know how often those change, right? Because just because the label hasn't changed doesn't mean that the producer hasn't changed 7 times. Mm-hmm. But I do, and to your point, Tim, my perception is my own reality, and it could be completely different. But my perception is that those relationships seem to be pretty solid. And I've done a little bit of research into this, like, who makes this, right? And then you find out, this company has been making the bourbon for 7 years or whatever it is. So it seems like those relationships are relatively solid and have been going on for a long time. And you imagine if that's the truth, then everyone's happy with the situation. Costco's selling enough at a good enough price, and the distillery or the winery is making enough margin to make it all work. It's only fitting it's the craft beer brand that gets in. And how long were they making that beer, Mike?
2 years.
Was it 2 years? Yeah.
And it's only fitting it's the craft beer that can't make it work. And once again, we don't know what actually happened, who and the relationship and why, but it does speak to all the things we talk about. The the lack of prestige in the beer industry, you know, the poor man's, you know, craft and poor man's luxury item or whatever it is, where a great brewery who makes a really, really good beer goes in there with a lager and all of a sudden that relationship dissolves. It just kind of seems fitting to me.
You know, like talking through all of this more, and I'm going back to the statement that I made that like I can't see how anyone can do this. I still think that, but like there's going to be someone who will probably take this on.
Oh yeah.
Like there will be a larger brewery who will be like, you know what, maybe we can make it work. It's the Tobias and Lindsay meme.
Mhm.
Like, oh no, it's been terrible for everyone, but it might work for us. Like I could see like a Sweetwater or
Yingling. Yingling is
You know,
Yingling would be the one to do it, in my opinion.
But also, they might just not even go down this road. If something wasn't successful,
Yeah.
they've made no one. They've made no one.
if it wasn't successful in their eyes.
Yeah, they've made no pronouncement that we're going to search for another producer or supplier type of thing. They've made no announcement we're looking at a new beer down the road. They've said nothing about that. They could just be saying we're, you know, craft beer is struggling. We're just getting out of the craft beer space, whether or not that's private label. You know what I mean? Like it does not mean, boy, Deschutes didn't make it work, somebody else will. Costco themselves might say this isn't a venture worth doing. That's certainly on the table as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, larger breweries than that have closed down. Costco might just be looking at it and say the economics of this just don't make sense, regardless of who makes it.
And that's a good point. I mean, for sure that could happen. And this is in this particular case, probably like all cases, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We're just speculating on things. Yeah. But I would imagine that is something they would want to control because they do sell beer. So just because they haven't announced anything doesn't mean they don't have something in their back pocket. It doesn't. I mean, listen, let's go further down the rabbit hole of speculation. Maybe everything with just Deschutes was great. They had a 2-year contract to do this beer, and a year and a half into it, Yingling or Bud or somebody else came and said, "We want this business, and we'll give you this better margin." And they've just been biding their time, waiting to announce it. Right? There's so many layers to this, and we don't know what we don't know. But it probably means nothing, but it could be an interesting bellwether once again to the craft beer situation and how it all, shakes out. Even though I will say the vast majority of people who buy that beer have no idea it's Deschutes. They've never heard the name Deschutes. They don't know anything about craft beer. They just know it's the Kirkland Lager. Right? So it doesn't mean that they're going into this going, we are, supporting craft beer. We're just buying the cheap beer at Costco.
But I will also say that other national brands, there used to be a Sam's Club beer. Do you hear anyone talking about a Sam's Club branded beer? Like there are other national brands that have already gone down this road and said, no, it does not make sense for us anymore. So
good point.
And so I don't think it's so easy to say, oh, Costco loves to do private label everything, because they don't do private label everything. They do a lot of private label, but they don't do private label everything. If that space is hurting enough, they might say, why would we waste our energy on it?
Yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? We are already selling non-private label beer. And maybe that's good enough for us.
Maybe that is doing better. And if it's doing better, that is an interesting thing about the beer community. The loyalty people have to their mediocre to shitty macro beers is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I can imagine people sitting there going, yeah, I could get this Kirkland Lager for cheaper than my Budweiser, but it's Budweiser. I'm just going to drink it, right? Whereas, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist in wine, because of course it does. There are people that would be horrified. I know people where if I brought a bottle of Kirkland Pinot Grigio to a party, they would look at me like I was some kind of, Dickensian peasant, coming in asking for another bowl of gruel. But there are a lot of people in that segment that are like, yeah, fine, it's Pinot Grigio. We all drink a cheap bottle of Pinot Grigio every now and then, even if we are fancy and we know what we're talking about when it comes to wine. Beer it's just another example of how it just kind of is its own little thing out in a corner somewhere that feels very different.
But also at a restaurant, you have a house red and house white. No one asks who makes that or what brand is. I'll just have the house red.
Yeah,
right? I'll just have the house white. Aside from in the movies, you don't just order a beer, right?
Yeah,
it's always a name. It's always a call. There is no well beer. There's well cocktail. There's well wine. There's not well beer. So if it's not a space where a well beer makes sense, right? This didn't just say beer on the side of the box or on the side of the can, right? It becomes more specific in beer that you don't get that you don't have to have in those other segments.
Yeah.
Rum and Coke does not have to be a call. House Red does not have to be a call. Good luck going and saying, I'll have one beer, please. You sound like an idiot. Or you sound like bad dialogue from every movie from 1984 to 1995.
And they'll slide that beer down a bar to you.
Yeah.
And you'll miss. So yeah, it's all speculation. It kind of sucks, but yeah, we'll see what happens with it. So the next thing that I wanted to touch on a bit is a little bit of a real downer, because the craft beer world lost someone who would be considered a pioneer to craft beer, with Alan Sprintz, the founder of Hair of the Dog, passing away last week at the age of 66 from a battle with cancer. Hair of the Dog was one of those brands that I remember when Kevin and I were first meeting each other and going to bottle shares. Like, if a Hair of the Dog beer got pulled out, people were like, "Ooh, okay, let's see what we got here," because they were one of the first making high gravity beers, barrel aged beers, just big, bold, flavorful things that you could sit on and age for a long period of time as well. And Alan was, he started this in 1993. He started Hair of the Dog and went until it was 4 years ago, 2022, when he finally closed the business. That was a brand that and the iconic logo that went along with that brand too. Sucks that someone so talented dying so young from cancer. Kevin, do you have any memories of Hair of the Dog?
Oh, tons. I mean, for our coffee district, beer get together and bottle shares. Chris Black, who was someone that obviously you knew, that was always there every month. I think we did, at one point we were doing bottle shares 2 nights a week. And it was funny, just a little side note, is that we were doing a bottle share, and then the bottle share got so big that we moved, did start doing a second one for the more rare special beers for the people who really deserved it. Right. Not all the hangers on. And that's where, the Hair of the Dog, the Hair of the Dog type beers would be pulled out from. But yeah, I really know very little about that brewery. Were they featured in that beer documentary, in the mid 2000s? There was a road trip beer documentary that Sam Calagione was featured in. I don't know if you guys remember what I'm talking about.
Beer Wars?
I don't know if it was Beer Wars.
I don't think you're talking about Beer Wars.
Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, it's not important, but I vaguely remember if I saw something about that brewery, but knew very little about it. Always thought that the naming convention was brilliant and the dumbest thing that's ever happened, because you're this is Dave, this is Steve, this is Hair of the Dog, Julio, whatever it was. I never knew what I was drinking because instead of having like normal conventional beer names from the beers that I had, it made it very, very difficult. You really were buying the brand. You were drinking a Hair of the Dog beer. It didn't matter. It wasn't like it was Dogfish Head and Chicory Stout, right? It was, this is a Hair of the Dog beer, and that's just what it was. And I think that was great in the early days of the like it beer trader movement. But I don't know how that worked out for them long term. Obviously, they ended up closing the brewery. I don't know if did they have cores? Did they make a lager? Did they, I don't know that much about it, but I do have very fond memories of the beers that I had. I enjoyed everything I ever had from them. Was some of it like brought on by the fact that it was rare and hard to get your hands on, and I was young and stupid and thought anything that was rare was good? Maybe.
I found the movie that you're talking about. It was just called American Beer.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was Road Trippers.
Yep.
And holy shit, when you look at the names that were in it, Alan was not in it. At least
Okay.
he's not listed on the cast. But
Larry Bell was in it.
Yeah, Larry Bell, Sam Calgione, Bill Kovalevsky, Steve Hindy. It's quite a. Oh no, Alan Sprint is in it. Okay, he's all the way at Dick Yingling. There's a hell of a lot of people. But
my memory has not, completely gone, so I feel good about that.
So I was reading a story that someone put together about Alan's passing, and this is a fun story that I didn't know about him. He was working at Widmer Brothers before opening Hair of the Dog, washing kegs, and when he had signed a non-compete contract with them, and when he opened Hair of the Dog, Widmer Brothers sued him, and he got a lot of like press, like positive press from the Portland area, as like Widmer is attacking this small guy. And in the end they settled, and his agreement was like, I just told them that I was never going to make a Hefeweizen, and they were fine with that.
I like the idea that they needed him to sign a non-compete for cleaning kegs. Like, he's going to steal the keg cleaning technology? Is that what they were worried about? The proprietary keg washer was going to come over to Hair of the Dog?
Well, this is a thing that he says in this article, as or from in the past. In my mind, they were a draft-only brewery that made only wheat beer, and I was a bottle-only brewery that made mostly strong beer. In the end, we settled, and I agreed not to make Hefeweizen. Like, it's just funny that stuff was going on still even back then.
Well, it's funny to me because I feel like that is a more old school. First of all, just non-competes in general, not just in beer, but across the board, have kind of started to become less of a thing, right? Like we talked about this on a previous podcast about how more and more states are adopting laws against establishing them in the first place, or enforcing them. But also, people have gotten like, I don't know. I saw a beer advocate thread the other day where a brewery closed, and like, I bet someone will buy the recipes, and I was like, that's not a thing. all of you non-brewers seem to think these recipes are like these. First of all, recipes, just like recipes of food, are not IP. They're not copyrightable things, right? Like the processes, and you can try to have trade secrets, but that's the reason why they're trade secrets. Is I'm not letting you see the recipe, but that doesn't mean it's an enforceable thing. And second of all, no, you might buy a brand, but you're not just paying some other brewery, certainly not one brewery that closed, for their recipe. That's not how that works. So it's silly to me that people still kind of think about it as those things. But it was such a big deal back in the day that oh boy, if this brewer goes over there, he's gonna take other recipes with him. I'm like, you mean the recipe of malt, water, hops, and yeast? yeah, like for the amount of the brewers that would literally post their recipes and give them out to homebrewers, and B, the amount that homebrewers are reverse engineering these beers, and C, a lot of times it's really not hard to kind of figure out or make something similar or whatever. Like the whole idea that any of these things are sacrosanct or worthy of protecting in the first place is silly.
Well, that's. I'm not sure if I ever said this on the show, but when I left Funky Buddha, and this is, I have a great relationship. Not great. I have a relationship, and we are cordial at this point. Great would be like we hang out all the time. I'm just saying that I haven't seen Ryan since in a long time in person, but I recently brought someone into the brewery that worked for him. We talked about it. He gave me a lot of good advice about that, and we have a good relationship, and I think well of him at this point. But when I left Funky, his brother, who was not in the beer industry, who came on as an investor and a business partner with Ryan when we opened the large scale brewery. Casey didn't know much about beer, right? And he didn't really have a good grasp of it, kind of in the way that Tim's talking about. And when I told him I was leaving, his first thing was like, you can't take the recipes with you. And I was just like, yeah, I know, but that's not a thing. Like, do you think I'm going to go to and make a maple bacon coffee porter? Like, what? Okay, yeah, I got it. I'm not going to take the IPA recipe with me. Like, that's not a thing. Like, it's technique, it's brewing system. It's there's so many things that go into this, but it was a very odd thing for an owner of a brewery to say that to me. Once again, Ryan didn't say it to me. Ryan probably knew a lot more about this and wasn't really worried about it. But it is very much a layman's understanding of what this whole process looks like. And I've absolutely seen it. Every time a brewery closes, you see that. I hope the recipe for this gets bought by somebody. It's like, listen, man, I can make Hell or High Watermelon. Right, I can make something very similar to that. It would not be the most difficult. It'd take us probably two cracks, and we'd get something very similar. It's not magic. There's nothing you're doing that is just crazy. What was it?
11 herbs and spices.
No, like what was that? We got that text message from Ed that was talking about Cove Brewing doing like a similar beer to Wakefield's own IP, making the dragon fruit passion fruit beer, and like, joking about that. Like, I mean, that's actually him making his own beer, but it's still, it's like, it's not hard. Like, I could make that beer. It's not difficult to reverse engineer a sour beer with two fruits.
Well, and also you take any of those beers that people want to buy the recipe from. I mean, we used to do this all the time at Badger Hill. We would mix in other people's beers with our own beers when we were doing blind tasting. We couldn't even pick our own fucking beers out of the lineup half of the time. That's not how this works. So it's silly, but you're right. Every single time a brewery closes, someone's going to buy the recipe, well, again, first of all, not even a thing for intellectual property thing. The brand, if you want to say buy the brand,
sure,
that is one thing, right?
The copyright name, the can art,
absolutely,
of course,
absolutely. But again, it's like why every time you look up a recipe online, there's 3 pages of blog before them because the blog is copyrightable, the recipe isn't. That's literally how IP works. That's just a thing. So A, not even just a thing legally, but B, like you said, it's not hard to make the same thing.
There has to be probably at least 5 Pliny the Elder beers out there that are essentially the same recipe that just use different names. Like, so the recipe doesn't matter. It is all the power is in the brand.
Yeah. I laugh so much at that, and the fact that it's still to this day, and I'm like I don't want to be a dick, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, man. Do you
you want to be a dick?
I wanted to say, remember, was it a Geico commercial where it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Like
deleted.
Yeah. Like that's not, no. And I'm sorry.
It's adorable. It really is. It's
especially when it's like, oh, someone will buy the recipes from, oh, you mean that that brewery that failed and wasn't big in the first place, someone is going to fork over money for that. Yeah, like no one bought the engineering plans to the DeLorean. Like that's not how that works.
I'm gonna put this out there. I know that our podcast is very much for the beer insider, the industry insider, who all knows this, right? They're all going, yeah, they're all on the same page. But in case someone comes about this, I am willing to sell the recipe for any Barrel of Monks beer. Just Kevin at Barrel of Monks, email me, and I will give you the recipe. We will go into negotiations. Everything must go. I will sell you all of our recipes, and I will happily do it. So please, bring it on.
While you're at it, I have a bridge I would like to sell you.
And damn it, I was just gonna say that.
and you know what? And I will also say this. And I made that mention about Casey at Funky and his kind of misconception about this. We have it internally. My partner Bill, for years, did not want to reveal our yeast strain. And he was like, "This is a kind of a prep." No, it's not proprietary. It's Essence wheat. It is a wheat strain that you can buy commercially. There's nothing special about it, but he did not want people to know it. And I always fought against that. And I don't have any problem telling people what we use. It's just ridiculous. It's always been ridiculous to me. Like
the need to hold on to that stuff so much, what it just boils down to me is, okay, you're afraid of a person having your recipe because you think that they will be able to succeed more than you can with it. Like
quite possibly.
That's pretty much it. Because if you're so confident in your recipe and in your brand, like then you should be like, okay, you can have it. Like they'll call it something different, of course, but like we're better. We should be able to do this better. Like it's just it is fear, and it is just like being so unsure of yourself, and it's so
I remember Dave Berg years ago, like 10 years ago on Twitter, kind of going off on a rant like this because he was like, ask me, I'll tell you, I don't care. He's like, I can give this recipe to 10 different brewers and we're going to get 10 different beers because it's the system, it's the process, it's like that's what makes the beer, you know. That's what makes a Shell's beer, and that's what makes a Boston Lager, and that's why like the places that have multiple facilities. That's why it's so hard, and that's why I respect someone like a Boston beer because they are producing that out of multiple facilities, and they're still able to get it to taste the same, so that the beer brewed in Cincinnati is the same as the beer brewed in Massachusetts, the same, right? But I don't know. Going back to what we were talking about, the idea that there would be any non-compete, even if he did agree to make, like, even if he didn't agree and he wanted to make Hefeweizen, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention this about the brewery that Mike and I both worked at. I remember when the owner was willing to divulge to me that the secret to all the beers was one bag of Carapils.
I thought it was the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, well, the Jedi brewing, but yeah, the one bag of Carapils, that was a big deal. And I can always imagine, like, okay, listen, I'm ready to sell you these secrets. He give me the money, and then they hand it over and go, Cascade hops. What?
Hear me out here, dextrin.
I'm about to drop our first Simpsons reference of the episode, Kevin, but the secret ingredient is salt.
One might say, yeah. We actually got a little far afield of talking about the news and the hair of the dog thing, but I'm glad we did. I was thinking the second you started talking about recipe, Tim, I was going, oh, we could do a whole episode on it, and we've done a good part of an episode on it because it is really a misconception of people about what they think is important in the industry, right? Like what the outsider thinks matters. Almost never matters, and the things that they can't even conceive of are the things that actually move the needle. that change a beer or the important things for the operation and making quality products.
Yeah, but they're also the same people that are surprised to hear that special sauce is just Thousand Island. Like, yeah, some of those things. We've done it again. I joked about the 11 herbs and spices, but like, oh, there's the trade secret. No one can replicate Dr. Pepper. Like, fuck off. That's not anybody who's ever brewed a beer or anyone who's ever worked in a kitchen or anyone who's ever done anything. Like, you literally trained to recognize all of those flavors. You're literally trained to understand how ingredients are used. Like, just this whole idea that someone had this secret recipe that they held stored in a box for years and it's under lock and key, and two different people have a key and they can't be in the same room and they can't know each other, and all of that stuff that happens in restaurant lore and has come over to the alcohol lore. No, just fuck off. That's what I want to say. So I guess I do want to be a dick, Mike. You're right. I do.
Mike, have you ever had to sign an NDA?
No. Or wait. Yes, NDA. I've never signed a non-compete.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I meant. A non-compete clause.
I have never had to sign a non-compete. Yeah. Or wait, actually, I did sign one when I worked at Moss Mill, and that was solely to just for while I was working there, like that I couldn't work for another brewery. Once my employment ended there, the non-compete expired.
I once had to sign a non-compete as a server at a restaurant.
That's so dumb.
That I could not work at another restaurant in the area for 90 days after like leaving.
Do you remember what kind of radius it was?
It was, I think, I can't remember, but I think I was in Delray Beach. It was Cafe Luna Rosa, so I'm sure it was like in the general vicinity, which was the stupidest thing that's anyone's ever done. Like, is there a more nomadic profession than server? Like,
yeah, only if you don't put bartenders into that group, because it should just be all hospitality.
Yeah.
It's like being a contract killer and having to sign a non-compete. It's like, I literally work on spec. I don't know what you want from me.
What's the dumbest thing? I remember when that happened, I was like, I said, yeah, sure, whatever. What are you going to, if you do fire me or I do quit and take another job, are you really going to take me to go fuck yourself? Okay, yeah, I'll sign your stupid fucking
you gotta come after me. No, I had a brewer at Badger Hill that wanted to get a part-time job at a different brewery, still working full-time as a brewer at Badger Hill. And I remember the owner of the other brewery called me and I'm like, I don't fucking care. Yeah, let him, please. Great. He wants to make more money. He wants a side gig. Yeah. He's not bringing anything magical that we do to you guys. It's not like I'm going to suddenly like, oh, they cracked the code. You want to know what we do? Fuck, come visit. Like,
come on in.
There's so many collaborations. I'll sell tickets. Yeah.
I'm currently looking for somebody at the brewery, and there was a person who applied, and they work as a bartender at another Florida brewery.
Yeah.
And they told me, they like their bartending gig, and I said, fine, keep it. I don't.
Yeah.
Why the hell would I care? Like, you make as much money as you possibly. If you're cool with working 5 days a week and also an extra day or night or whatever, or 5 days a week there, I don't care. And they're like, oh, well, they have a problem with it. I'm like, you're a bartender at another brewery that would not be okay with you taking a full-time job somewhere else? What is wrong with people? Do you hate yourself? Do you hate other people that much? It's detestable.
Well, also, like in the brewing industry, we find excuses to do collaborations, or even if you're not doing collaborations, if you're a brewer and you're at another brewery and people find out you're a brewer, they immediately, oh, coming back, let's talk about these things. Like, we share all this stuff all the time. It's not like oh, it's like the fact that there's brewery tours. There's if I want to figure out the special sauce, I just fucking go on your tour. Like it's insane to me that any of this stuff would be anything that needs to be protected in any way, shape, or form.
Can Mike? I know you're looking for more social media content. Can we can you do a little spin-off here where we have like a character? Maybe I could play him, just because I'm the least likable out of the three of us, and I can be like
You play the evil brewery owner?
the protective brewery owner, and then every now and then I can lean in and whisper, "Yeah, we use Pilsner malt in this one." You know, it'd be very neat. It would be very specific of people that would like it, but like,
yeah, it's like you're trading a new brewer, and you're like, and one last step, looking over both shoulders. Pull out a secret bag that just has like a question mark on it, and you dump that in there. You're like, I can't tell you.
The owner has to come down to drop these hops in for the 60-minute edition for the bittering hops, because no one can know what the hops are.
I have some ideas ringing through my head right now on this. So we will talk about this off air on how we can make that happen. But yeah, so RIP Alan Sprints, great mind for brewing. This next thing that I wanted to talk about was actually sent over by Tim, and that was the Republic National, who for a while was the second largest distributor for wine and spirits in the United States, filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and is seeking buyers for their operations. I've been following a little bit of RNDC's struggles over the last year, so because of Dave Infante, great beer writer and beer journalist, who has been writing a lot about them. But I'm going to be honest, I haven't read a whole lot because, like, I don't know, the wine and spirits distributors, just, it's not really in my radar for caring. But I was reading over this that you sent, Tim, this article, and like they owe, where did it go? They owe an insane amount of money to their suppliers. Over 300 million is their unsecured claims that they owe. Almost 94 million are owed to Proximo Spirits, who are the makers of Jose Cuervo. They owe a single brand, a single company, almost $94 million.
How does that happen? I mean, I'm not bright enough to understand how they could extend them.
Net
like
30.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, how is that possible?
Like, if a brewery, like, or if an account, a bar doesn't pay a distributor within 30 days, they get put on a state no-sell list in Florida, where they can't buy booze from anyone until they make good on that one invoice.
I'll do you one better than that. We are a brewery who has been open for over 11 years, and we are not on terms with our wine and RTD. We have to give them a check. They will not drop the stuff off unless we hand them a check with the delivery, right? So for the most part, these companies, for smaller businesses, won't even put you on terms. Like, they want cash in hand the second that they drop the product off. I love the fact that they would get so in debt to one of their suppliers. That's just that's adorable to me.
It's just crazy that, like, states have laws in place that actually will punish a retailer
Yeah.
for falling behind on payments.
Mm-hmm.
But if the distributor who sells to that retailer falls behind on payments to their suppliers, there's no actual repercussions beyond like just completely going bankrupt and owing people millions of dollars.
Mike, are you insinuating that somehow
We should
national
open a distributor?
No, that state laws are somehow skewed to benefit the rich and wealthy and not the small independent? Are you suggesting that? I don't like where you're going. I think this is radical. I think this is socialism. Whatever you're doing right now is leftist policies that have corrupted this country. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I agree. Mike is a commie, and I think that's all we really need to know.
Hello, comrades.
Yeah,
he's wearing a red hat, so it
tracks.
tracks.
So our RNDC is known for specializing in wine and spirits, but they are a beer distributor. I want to make sure that that's clear too.
They do.
Yeah. So when we say that, and so they are large, but we have seen over the year contraction and pulling out of California, right? So for as Mike said, at one point the second largest booze distributor, it like there's pretty big writing on the wall a few years ago when you pull out of the largest booze market in the country. That's maybe not a great sign, right? They had and I don't remember exactly when this is, Breakthrough Beverage Group, that we all know, large distributor. They had a failed merger attempt in like I don't know, I want to say like 2017 or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure I don't think the article I sent you mentioned that. But there have been this company in one form or another, and they sold some stuff off to Reyes and a few other things that they sold off over the years. But this company's been around for 120 whatever years. This is a pre-prohibition distribution in some form, right? Family and ownership and merger and all that changes. But the roots of this company go back like 120 whatever years. And so even though, specialize in wine and spirits, but yes, definitely still beer, I think there's a very big ripple effect that happens when something like this goes down that I don't think people are going to be fully prepared for. Like we're not directly affected in Minnesota. They don't have the presence here, right? We're not that market for them. But from a national perspective, there's going to be a ripple effect on this.
So when I was at Cafe Luna Rosa, the restaurant that made me sign a non-compete, and I was doing all their wine and spirits and beer ordering, they were the Brooklyn distributor down here for a good period of time. And I bought a lot of stuff from them. They were one of my major suppliers. I work with them regularly. I interviewed with them. I almost took a job. At one point I interviewed with 3 different wine distributors, and I was going to take a job until I found out that I could not stay in my house because my mortgage went up because I got an adjustable rate mortgage, and then fucked myself. But anyway, that's not important. But I was considering going into that field and interview with Republic National, and could have very well gone down that rabbit hole. But yeah, they're massive. I mean, they would put on these incredible once a year galas where they'd bring in like old headliner acts like Casey and the Sunshine Band, and bring in all their restaurants and everyone that was buying wine and spirits from them in some grand hotel room, and give you free food and booze. I mean, this was a massive operation, and one of the most impressive things companies I had ever been on the periphery of. And to think that, the good times were rolling for a while, and as Tim said, for over 100 years, and then to have the bottom fall out of that to the point where they can't even pay one of their biggest suppliers is just wild. I mean, we spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about the pitfalls of the craft beer industry, but it's a good it's a good example of the fact that like no one's bulletproof, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just like craft. It's only craft beer that's suffering. No, I mean a lot of people are taking a hit right now. Alcohol is suffering in general. Even if spirits aren't as low as craft is right now, even if wine's not as low, everyone is struggling. Everyone's having a hard time making the bills, and as Tim, I think you said, the ripple effects of that going through the industry of all those suppliers that now are going to have to find new homes and different portfolios and not be able to fit in well with them. I mean, think about that. Think about if you were the number one, wine in that portfolio and you've got to go somewhere else. Like that's going to be difficult for the big guys and the little guys.
Well, yeah, because now you do go somewhere else. Now that means that somebody that was in that portfolio doesn't get the attention that it used to get, right? Like it's all of those other things. Every time there's a big musical chairs that plays on anything like this, the way musical chairs, like the rules are somebody loses a seat.
Yeah, they take a chair away. Yeah,
yeah.
And it's really listen, at the end of the day, it really is the little guy that loses out. Like if you were in the bottom rung of that portfolio, you might not even get a spot in another house, right? The big guys will, but then the big guys, maybe they're number 3 in the, Southern Glazers portfolio or whatever it is. And then they got to lay people off. I mean, it really is, it's a watershed moment in a lot of ways in that industry.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, because you will. But if I remember right, one of the big reasons that they even pulled out of California was that they lost a ton of their suppliers to competitors. Like they decided to leave their house and go to Southern Glazer.
Wouldn't that be nice if you could just decide to leave? That would be lovely.
No, I do believe that was the case, and they painted it. And I don't no one ever really knows that this is true, but I think they painted it at the time is they were actually going to be like saving 5,000 jobs by pulling out of California, and I don't know how that math works. I can't math that math. But they were actually saying that like these things were actually saving jobs by pulling out of a market. I can't square that circle. But yeah, I mean, if you're already running into these issues, and again, 92 million to a single creditor. And let's also remember, like their bankruptcy filing just had like a deck that listed like literally just the top 30 creditors. Like you've got that many creditors you're owing these things to. And so, yeah, like I said, this is one of those things where they've been kicking the can down the road for so long, and they've had so many different little indicators here, indicators there, and like I always say, you can spin bullshit to investors, and you can spin bullshit to the industry to make it sound like what you're doing is a strategic move when it's really just panicking or reacting.
Yeah.
I want to run the experiment of being a big CEO of a company, and instead of like being in spin mode, just being completely transparent. Like you go on and you do like a press conference, like, oh, we're fucked. Oh, we're completely fucked, guys. There's nothing good can come out of any of this, and we're going down, and it's going to be really, really difficult. I want to see that
brand we talked about earlier, the one that is just open and honest,
completely transparent.
Like we're a beer brand in the fucking worst time of beer market.
And well, I was gonna say there are literally a bunch of brewery CEOs doing that right now, saying, "Oh shit, we're fucked. Please come buy our beer." Like that is happening. I mean, I think so. I think back to my time at I know I'm gonna broken record. My time at B-Dubs, but like we had
wait. You worked at Buffalo Wild Wings?
Yeah. Yeah, believe it or not.
You're just telling me this now? Sorry, go ahead.
Harvey Weinstein, the movie producer? Jeffrey Epstein, the financier? No, Jim Downey. But uh,
Bill Cosby, America's Dad.
yeah. But no, but I listened to every investor call, and I would actually provide things that were on the investor call. And the CEO didn't know what she was saying. And I'm not saying she was a bad CEO. I'm not saying she wasn't smart. I'm saying she was reading the script prepared by a communications person with a deck put together by a department head over here or over there. But like I remember like the Pepsi project I was working on, and she would say things and I was like, that's not true at all. What you just said is 100% not true. And it wasn't like done maliciously, and it wasn't done to lie. It was because it was a telephone game of somebody said something to this person who put it in a deck and it got reworded this way, and it got over here. And by the time she was reading it on the investor call and answering questions, because there's always a Q&A on investor calls, she was answering things very confidently. I'm not saying it's because she was out of touch. I'm just saying that when you become large companies like this, you become so detached that you don't even know. You don't even know.
Sorry, I just had Hall and Oates stuck
Were
in
you
my head when
dancing?
you said out. Yeah, when he said out of touch. But it's almost like you're saying CEOs are just puppets.
Well, I'm actually not saying that. I do think there's a lot of value. I
Like
think
that you did this.
communication with the streets is.
I'm a regular Jeff Dunham over here.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Praise him.
But no, I there's definitely, and so when you see all of these things that have happened with RNDC, like I said, going back, I mean, I remember the breakthrough thing. I'm pretty sure that was like 2017 or 2018. It didn't say in that article, did it, Mike? I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
No, it didn't.
Okay. But anyway, like when you see all these things that happen kind of as a one-off, it's really easy to kind of build this teleology of how they got to this point. It's hard to see them all when all of these things are happening as discrete circumstances. But boy, it sure does feel like there were enough red flags over the last 10 years that should have made someone go, sound the alarm, but they sort of boiled the frog, if you were, on their own demise.
I had to look up teleology because I'm a dumb. Kevin, like no. So I remember when I'll get to you. Sorry, Kevin. I needed to preface this first. I remember when the whole breakthrough potential merger thing was going down, and I was actually surprised at how big breakthrough was when that was going on, because we have breakthrough down here in South Florida. Do you do any business with them, Kevin?
No.
Like in your tap room for wine or anything?
No.
Okay.
We only work with Southern Glazers because it's just simple. One, we don't do that much business, so we just do it with one company.
Okay. So we similar. Like we get all of our, or when I was at Copper Point, we got all of our wine from Breakthrough, and they just seemed like such a small time business. Like because I remember when they came down here, they had some wine, they had some RTDs, they had a couple beer brands. I think like Upland was with them, and like a few other smaller like brands you would know if you travel around a lot and you've been to certain places. Like, oh, like I know that place, but like they just always seem so small time to me. And then when I was reading about like this potential merger and like, oh, they're a big business in other states, I'm like, huh? Like they just like their trucks just seem so small and like kind of clunky, and the people are nice that come in, but it's just like they don't seem as prim and proper as your Southern Glazer and your Reyes people are, like with just like being efficient. So I was just I didn't know who they were at that time, and it just still boggles my mind that they are such a big brand, big distributor, and just in Florida they just seem so small time.
I mean, I think some of the it's so funny because I always I complain sometimes that like for instance at work I'm like, this is how the big boys do it, and then I remember like, no, they also they're just as fucking clueless. Like even companies that have been around for 100 years and should have all the technology in the world and all of the expertise and can like you can hire a PhD, and if you don't unleash them properly, then that is just a degree that's not being used. Like there's plenty of things, and so yeah, like somebody like Breakthrough can be big and still operate like a mom and pop, not because they're small, but because they grew so fast and grew so organically, and it was never done deliberately, and it was never done with the right capital investment to get the right trucks and the right whatever, the right infrastructure in place and the right marketing in place. And so you could be gigantic and still look completely fucking clueless is what I've learned.
Oh, I get that. I mean, even another example down here too is Cavalier, who Kevin and I both have had experience with, who are pretty small time when it comes to Florida, but like they're in Ohio and Indiana as well, and
Massive.
they have massive in those areas. But it just shows like certain territories for these bigger distributors they're just pulling in numbers for them. They're not maybe the best.
I mean, you want to talk about the beer industry with this. I can't remember, Mike, when you were with our former brewery, when all the sales happened from Brown Distributing and we were all sold all over the state. We got sold to Bud distributors that their infrastructure was that of like a Cub Scout troop. I mean, it was staggering. I felt like there was territories we got sold to. There was like 7 people that worked there, and it was like, cousin Ned and Dave, who's like, the town drunk, and they were the ones that were running the Bud distributor in Central Florida. And it was mind-boggling to me that these people had a successful business. It was just like family legacy money, and they sold Budweiser, so they made money, right? Like they didn't have to do anything. They just had to send Ned in, and he walked into a bar and went, "Got Budweiser?" And they said, "We'll take 3 kegs." And they said, "Thank you kindly." And then they walked out. I mean, that was the entire, workflow of the business. I mean, if people always say like, if I could invent a time machine and go in the past, I would invest in Apple. Yeah, that's a good thing. I would go get a Bud distributor or Miller distributor in like a Podunk County somewhere in the U.S., and then just my family would be wealthy forever because there's not a lot of work that has to go into it. It seems.
Yeah, well, so now it's my turn to put on the hammer and sickle. But it's almost like we have believed that the wealthy are successful because of themselves and
because they're talented.
Because they're talented and smart. And so we look at that and they go, "Oh, they have all this money and they're huge and they're successful. That must mean they know what they're doing." All you need to do is look at Eric Trump to know that's not true. That wet sock of a person, that lumpy potato brained person who thinks combining like the words national or America and freedom is some sort of like genius move.
Did you also watch the? Did you also watch the John Oliver bit where they're talking about the? Okay, I was going to go right there, and you would obviously just saw that same thing.
Yes,
great.
Yeah. But
we want to be America, and wanted to be national. We want to be coins, so we put it all together.
Yeah, and it's like the way those guys like the way that works, and so yeah, I think this RNDC thing is they're giant corporations that are literally held together by an Excel spreadsheet that was built in 1997 that if Susan doesn't update this one cell every Thursday is going to destroy the entire company. Like it happens.
Susan.
This is not Ned, because Ned will fuck everything up. But Susan, every now and then, he's on the ball.
Yeah, she does not take a sick day.
But
No,
then
Susan
she fixes
doesn't.
it, and then they're like, Susan.
No,
All
actually,
right.
the big problem was
Happy hour with Susan after work on Friday.
She just got the drinking bird to tap on the keyboard.
just give me the drinking bird. Second sip. Thank you.
I was going to say another Simpsons reference.
Welcome to United We Simpsons.
Oh, we haven't had a Hedberg reference
We have not had a Hedberg
on this
yet.
one. I have a pipe. Now. There we go.
Push. Search party of 3. Go ahead.
So, yeah. Those are the only news items that I have. Does anyone else have anything alcoholic beverage related news that we should speak about? Or should we get into the trade deadline?
The only other thing that I was looking at is that there are there not some more proposed tariffs that are coming into our industry potentially in August? And I know we talked about tariffs in the past, and I have expressed the problems that it had with our business and the extra costs it had. But yeah, that I think that could be a pretty big noteworthy item for people who are buying things from Canada and other countries that are imperative to how we do business.
Yeah, I think there was a new run on tariffs that came out recently, and I think that there was a lot on Canada again because of their retaliatory for their lack of purchasing stuff from us. And again, I don't know, like for the listeners who are not in the biz, we get a lot of stuff from Canada for beer. Like probably the biggest is aluminum and grain, I would say.
Yeah.
And if you're a packaging brewery, you need both of those.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how much stuff, an American company like BSG that stuff is coming from Canada. I think people just think BSG, they're based out of, they're American. Well, it's like I remember back in the 90s when there was this huge push to buy American, and they would then cities would shoot themselves in the foot by spending $1.9 million with an American company that was importing everything from China, when they could have gotten a company from Belgium that actually employed like 300 people locally. Like we're kind of doing that same thing all over again, and we're not understanding that even in American companies are forced to rely on Canada. So any of this Canada, Trump says, "Oh, you can't import Canadian whiskey, and you can't import Canadian beer, and you can't import But the problem isn't that we want to buy Canadian beer; it's that we want to buy Canadian beer ingredients and Canadian beer, manufacturing materials and those types of things. So yeah, that announcement last week, I think it was last week. It was like
I think so, yeah.
6-7 days ago. Yeah, Kevin, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. It's just another, we had a whole podcast, I think, where we talked about that, or at least it was a large part of a podcast where we talked about tariffs. And I've been contacted by local newspapers asking us, "Oh, how are the tariffs affecting you?" I mean, this is over a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I explained, yeah, everything's more expensive. It's just the way it is. We buy a lot of things from other countries. It's a necessity for us. And it's actually kind of funny because being in the West Boca baseball space, there we're in the minority when the parents that are not big supporters of our, fearless orange leader. And I hear a lot of conversations here and there, and every now and then someone will ask me my opinion, and I don't lie. I tell people what I think and what I'm experiencing. And on multiple occasions I've said, "Oh yeah, the one of the big problems we're having right now in the craft beer industry is tariffs and driving up costs." And they look at me like, "You must be lying to me. Like there's no way that's true. Like you must just be saying that to get a reaction." It's like, I'm not fake news. I'm not AI. I'm just a business owner here in Boca Raton telling you that everything sucks because of this. So sorry to, fuck up your delusions.
And like I've seen so many comments on Reddit and Blue Sky of Canadians, like the wine, American wine exporting to Canada is like next to nothing anymore. Like it has essentially died, and like they're pretty steadfast on like, yeah, we're fine without you. Like like Canadians, I know that there's a lot of stereotypes around them, but like some hard-headedness is actually a pretty awesome in this case, where they're just like, yeah, we'll just do things more locally. All right, yeah. You keep your stuff.
So, oh, Kevin, you're on mute.
Thank you, Tim. When it comes to wine, like they might say, like, have you guys heard of the French? Like, have you heard of the Italians? The Spain? I think that's a country. They also make wine. We're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like, there's other options.
Well, the other thing that's funny to me, so the Teamsters here recently have been supporting Trump's tariffs, saying we need to start making Modelo in the United States. It shouldn't come over, and brewery capacity utilization has dropped, and I certainly see that. But we already saw that trend. We already saw not offshoring, onshoring of international brands. It's already been happening. That's not the cause of the decline. I feel like,
and you know what happened? Lawsuits
Yeah.
from people who were saying, I've been swindled into thinking I'm buying an import, but it's actually made here.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. And so, like, we've already been down the road of onshoring. If that was the solution, you're right. Lawsuits, everything else. B, you can onshore that production. You still need the offshore fucking ingredients. Like, I'll never understand why a labor union would side with the Trump administration or side with tariffs, because to me it makes no sense. It's literally the most anti-labor thing.
yeah.
Like, why a labor union is taking what is essentially an anti-labor stance, I do not understand. But yeah, it's so weird that we're continuing to go down that road. So when the Teamsters made that announcement last week and trying to push for that, I'm like, do you like, is self-flagellation your kink? Like, what is the story here?
Everything is more complicated than it seems. I think that we could just like maybe end the podcast forever on that. Like, everything is just more complicated. Like, anytime you think there's a simple solution to something, you're wrong. It's a complicated web of everything that smart people that have expertise will tell you. It's like when people talk about like economics, and like, well, economics people say this is what you do. No, economics people who study this, who have been doing it for 30, 40 years and have expertise, will tell you this is very complicated. And there is no way that you as a layman will ever really understand it, but we'll just make some recommendations on what we should do. If you try to boil anything down to like, well, we do this one thing and everything's fixed, you're a moron. You don't know anything, and no one should trust you. Unfortunately, in our society, we only listen to people who say, I have a simple solution to everything. And that's why we're all fucked.
So,
that's why my
dear
camera
listener,
now.
dear listener, I would like to point out that like 5 episodes, Kevin said the motto of this podcast is if you agree with us, you're right. And if you disagree with us, you're right. And now he's changed the motto to dear listener, you're stupid. You're wrong.
All I'm trying to do is disenfranchise our listeners and make us now less likable. I didn't know it was possible, but I can do it. Or at least I can try trying.
If there's one thing that Kevin is known for, it is playing the devil's advocate on this show. Like, so he is very known for going in one direction and then possibly changing it up a little bit by the time the end of the show comes along, or at least going, I agree with you in every aspect.
And by playing the devil's advocate, you mean getting out his VHS, his VCR, and playing a VHS of the devil's advocate with Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, and Charlize Theron from 1996 or whatever that was.
That wasn't what we were all talking about?
No, I assume. Okay. I think.
Okay.
I think we always are. This is a Charlize Theron podcast.
At least adjacent.
I also, as a parent of children, I don't know if you've ever heard me say that before. How much voice acting Keanu Reeves does, like, or just how much voice acting a lot of people do that you never really know until you watch like kids' movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Well, what I assume is they heard his voice work in The Devil's Advocate, where he did the most incredible Southern accent anyone has ever put on celluloid, and they were like, that guy needs to voice everybody.
Keanu Reeves is what like classically a nice guy celebrity, right? Like everyone always talks about how he's a super nice guy, and it's so fun, and I love how self-aware he was in the last Bill and Ted's and all that. It's all great. That is the single worst Southern accent I've heard in my entire life. I don't know what area of the South it's supposed to be. It is somehow all of them and exactly none of them at the exact same time.
Well, he pulled that off, and the worst British accent of all time in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, he was a dynamo for bad accents.
Which is ironic because they were the exact same accent. So it's fine.
So we got to get him doing a Russian accent. And
same one.
And then that's the trifecta of accents, right?
Yeah. No, his dialect coach is just campy stereotype movies from the 1940s. That's all it is. So
I picture his dialogue coach is the same dialogue coach from the Radioactive Man movie with Rainier Wolfcastle saying, no, it's up and at 'em, up and at them. No, up and at 'em, up and at them, up and at 'em, up and at them. Better. Third Simpsons reference.
There we go.
I was waiting for it. If you weren't going to make it, Kevin, I was
making up for lost time.
Yeah. Who can eat at a time like this? People are missing. What happened to Dufresne's?
Bush search party of 2. All right. Anyone have any other news items, or should we get into last calls?
No more depressing things.
Yeah, I think we've been dour enough. I think it's probably time to move on to. I'm sure I will say something depressing in the last call as well. So let's go.
All right. So we're going to get into last calls here, the point in the show where we give each other an unspecific amount of time to talk about whatever it is that we want, beverage related or not. The only rules are that it's uninterrupted, unopposed, unobjected. I'll start things off this week. At the time of recording, in 3 days, I'm taking the family to my home country, Philadelphia, and we are going to go on vacation, taking the boys there for the first time. They are so stoked about doing this. My one boy, Bruno, is like a huge sports fan of Philly sports because of me. And he is looking forward to going to a Phillies game. We're going to a game at the bank, and it's going to be their third Phillies game of the season at 3 different stadiums. I'm counting spring training in there. I don't know when the last time I went to 3 games in a season is. Probably when I was a kid. So I'm really happy that they get to do that. But I'm also at the same time super nervous because they are really excited about this trip. And I'm like, can I create enough fun experiences for them in a city and area that I love so much and not let them down? Of course I can. I know that I can. Between like my parents are going on this trip with us, so they have their grandparents that are going to be there. They're going to meet aunts, uncles, cousins, like galore. There, we're going to the Philadelphia Zoo. We're going to the Franklin Institute. They're going to see awesome old buildings that they won't fucking care about, but they know that daddy grew up here, that mommy and daddy lived here for a period of time. And I am just so in my own brain, just so at myself at like, I got to give my kids the best vacation ever. And I'll get myself out of it by the time we leave, maybe. But I am super stoked to get to take my kids to an area that I love so much that I mean, I wear it on me all the time. Because they've been to California twice in their lives already. They're 4.5, and they've been to the Bay Area twice to get to see where my wife grew up and see all of her friends. And this is their first time going to Philly, and will definitely not be their last. But yeah, I am super excited for a little time off. I'm super excited to see some people who I haven't seen in a long time, get to see some friends, some family, get to eat some stuff, drink some stuff, and just have a great time. Like I said, in my home country of Philadelphia. Uh, so I'm looking forward to recapping a little bit of it on the next episode. And yeah, Tim?
Birds, man. To quote the great Tracy Jordan, birds are like tiny dinosaurs. So what I'm doing is actually really cool and brave. Um, I I've been going on my break to a creek by work, and I have been seeing uh, an egret like every single day. Every single day I'm going out there, there's an egret. Today I saw both an egret and a great blue heron. I sent Mike and Kevin a picture from like a week ago of seeing an egret and a great blue heron, and I've posted on my Instagram about the great blue herons that like roam the fishing docks here on Lake Nokomis. I don't know why I'm seeing so many egrets lately, but they've been everywhere. Like we've had like literally this is like the hottest summer in like 76 years. We've had like a record number of days over 90. I don't know if egrets love the heat. I don't know. I don't know why I'm seeing so many. But man, it has been fun, right? Like we talked on a pod about uh, when Mike and Kevin were up here about blue jays fighting off an eagle in my neighborhood. Mike knows way more about birds. If you want to see some awesome pictures of birds, go to Mike Loves Beer on Instagram because there's some amazing pictures up there. But man, egrets, it's been so much fun to see them like literally every single day. I get it. I'm at work early in the morning. I go outside and I go see the turkeys that are hiding in there. But then every lunch break, I go over and I just sit there and I just eat a sandwich and watch the egrets. They're very weirdly majestic and scary and brave and beautiful. And I don't know, man. I want to shout out birds. I think that's the only thing I have for my last call. Um, I'm not a bird watcher. I don't own a pair of binoculars. I can't identify them like like Mike does, like he's always like, "That's a purple-breasted wave humper," and Kevin and I were like, "We've never heard of this thing in our life," and like Mike, I'm not the one who should be talking about birds. Mike should be. But man, it's been fun seeing all these egrets and all these great blues this year. It's been all over the place and seeing all the loons that Mike didn't get to see. Well, he was in Minnesota, but they've been everywhere this year. It's been so fun. So yeah, man, birds.
We're gonna turn you into a birder yet.
I'm just writing down purple-breasted wave humper as my next craft beer release for one of our specialty. Ralph, remember that? It's a good name. I guess it's my turn because by process of elimination. I have been struggling as a parent recently with my son and his baseball league, his travel baseball, this new brave new world that we've gotten ourselves into. I have pointed out, I think on this podcast, if I haven't, I've at least said it in my mind, about my hypocrisy, where I said I would never do travel baseball because it's way too serious and these kids need to be kids and they need to do more than one thing. And I'm an asshole because through a series of events, we got into travel baseball. And I have an admission. I really want my son to do well. I really want him to succeed. And I want him to succeed, I think, for good reasons. Like I want it for him, for his self-confidence. I want him to feel good about himself. But part of me really wants him to be good. I really want him to succeed, probably a little bit for me, right? A little bit of that, like, I was not good enough to play college or, go on beyond high school or what have you. I think there's a little bit, I don't think it's a dominant feeling, but I think it's in there. I think there is some feeling in myself in that. And I've been struggling with it because he's been struggling. He's having a hard time being aggressive and going after the ball. He's having a hard time swinging the bat hard every time or throwing the ball hard every time. My son's a big kid. He's in the 99th percentile for height and weight. He always has been. He's big. He has the bone size in his hands of an 11-year-old. We actually had to have him tested because the doctors were worried about his size as an 8.5-year-old. And I think a lot of his struggles come from just being a little bit awkward and big for his age. But he's also just not an aggressive kid in general. He's never been a risk taker. He never wanted to climb a tree. He's never wanted to. He's just passive. He's a passive kid that wants to play baseball because he likes it and he likes the idea of it and he likes that his friends are doing it. And I am going to practices on a regular basis and trying to support him in the best way that I can. And I worry so often that I'm pushing him too hard or that I am making too big a deal out of things that are happening. And I fucking hate it. I hate that I feel like I'm on this like edge of being a parent that pressures their kid into doing things that they don't want to do. And I don't think I'm doing that. And my wife is incredible. Allie is fantastic at kind of tempering me and checking me and telling me, Kevin, that's too much right now. And I don't think she thinks that I'm being over the top, but I feel like it. Maybe because I want him to be successful for himself. I don't know. It's a struggle that I'm dealing with right now. And the other day, after a really rough practice, like he started laying down in the outfield and threw his glove because he was tired and his legs hurt and his feet hurt because he's a giant and he has the bone growth of an 11-year-old. And he had been at camp all day and at a 3-hour practice, and he was just done. All the defenses in his mind had been broken down. He could not be resilient. and that day we got together at the kitchen table and talked about the realities of this is what this choice you've made, 8.5-year-old, this choice you made to be a travel baseball player. And we had this conversation and back and forth. And I eventually got really frustrated with him because he wasn't paying attention to the things that I was saying. And I had to walk out of the room and compose myself because I was getting so frustrated. And I had to go back in after I did compose myself and realize that I'm taking all this way too seriously. And at the end of the day, it does not fucking matter. I've never cared what his performance was. I've never cared how many hits he has. I've only ever cared about his effort and his attitude. And what I have to remind myself is that doesn't matter either. He's just a kid. He's going to like this or not. He's going to struggle or he's not. At the end of the day, if he's not aggressive enough to go after a fly ball, who the fuck cares? And I've been struggling with this personally and feeling like I'm not living up to this challenge, and maybe I'm not being the best role model. But all I can do is try a little bit harder, support him in the best way that I possibly can, and just kind of go forward. So in that situation, I had to come in and I had to apologize and say, Jed, I was being too intense and I was being too serious, and let's just lay down and read a book and go to bed. So even the best of us with the best intentions, and I don't know, I mean, this doesn't have to apply for people with kids. I think a lot of us, 99.9% of us have the best intentions all the time with everything we do. And we can still fuck up, or we can still at least not meet our own expectations, the things that we want, the benchmark we set for ourselves. And I didn't think I would be in that situation with a 8.5-year-old playing travel baseball, but I find myself in it. And pull yourself back, think about it, and reevaluate what's important.
I'm really glad Kevin went last, because if I had to finish up with like, fucking birds, man, isn't it crazy how they fly? I would feel like a moron. So, I mean, I still do, but Kevin, very profound. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks for sharing that, man.
I mean, it's a struggle, right? We're all parents, and it's not always easy, and we don't always make the right decisions. And
I know, man, but I love so much how much you are willing to apologize. That's not the first time on this podcast you've said that you have apologized to your son for not setting a better example, and that hits me right in the feels. So I appreciate that. Your humility is very admirable.
No,
yeah. There's definitely some things I want to talk about off air with you about that, because they resonate with me. But anyone want to plug anything?
Birds. Go out and look at birds.
They're not just spy satellites anymore.
You do, yeah. They may or may not be real. I don't know. And I don't care, because they might
just
be
asking questions. I'm just asking questions.
I do not know. Isn't it curious? No. Yeah. Go look at birds, man. Mike, again, on his Instagram, has some really incredible bird pictures, and you can get the blue-billed chicken gobbler or whatever the fuck he knows these things as. So go look at those.
Blue-billed so many chicken birds. Gobbler. I mean, all these beer names that you're giving me are fantastic.
Birds truly do have some of the dumbest names in the world, because they either explain just what it is. Like the first time that I ever looked at a bird and was like, oh, that's an interesting looking bird. Let me go try to figure out what it is. Okay, so it's a black bird that has red on its wings. Red-winged blackbird. Okay, so it is exactly what it is. But then some of them are just so dumb. like
there's one bird called Mike Yurevich, which is the most ridiculous name I've ever heard in my entire life.
It was a Phillies
very
hat.
Intelligent bird. Very intelligent.
Who even makes the hats? That's the real question. Puts it on their heads, the little bird heads. How does it not fall off during flight?
It does fall off, but I'm very good at recovering it.
I love
birds
you,
are
Mike.
cool. All right. So if you want to follow our show on social media, mentioned Instagram before, at United We Drink Pod on Instagram. We're at United We Drink on Blue Sky. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. If you want to watch all of those things, we're on all of the major podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of those fun places. If you want to support our show financially, head to our website, unitedwedrink.com. We have a store where you can get stuff, and we also have the Brands We Love page where you can buy stuff from companies that we approve of and like, and many of the times I subscribe to them, like Made In, Trade Coffee, all of that. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another new episode. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to come back and enjoy this. Check out Old Favorite Friday on YouTube and Instagram. Yeah, I did it. I plugged it. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheers.
Almost forgot.